I never believed in fate until that night. A message popped up on my phone, not for me, but for her. She left her laptop open, a single notification blinking like a warning light. Curiosity? No, it was instinct. I clicked. The words burned themselves into my mind. He's away next week. We'll finally have the place to ourselves. My hands didn't shake. My breathing stayed calm. I read every line, every promise she made to a man I'd never met. It wasn't just lust. There was talk of money, opportunities, a future together, without me in it. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I closed the laptop, poured myself a drink, and smiled like nothing happened. She walked in minutes later, kissed me, asked about my day. I played along. My mind, however, was already building a plan. If she was capable of selling our love for something as cheap as greed, then she deserved a price she could never afford. Revenge wasn't rage, it was clarity. I wouldn't raise my voice. I wouldn't throw things. I would dismantle her life, piece by piece, so slowly she wouldn't even notice until it was too late. The first step was information. I became a shadow in my own home, silent, invisible, watching. She thought she was clever, using encrypted chats and late-night calls. But I knew her habits, her weaknesses. I mirrored her passwords, cloned her cloud storage, even set up a discreet recording device under her desk. Within days, I had enough proof to destroy her reputation. But proof wasn't enough. I wanted precision. A storm that would start as a whisper and end as a scream. She would feel it in her career, her friendships, her family. No place left untouched. She was ambitious, climbing the corporate ladder fast, always talking about networking and building connections. I knew exactly how to poison that climb. Anonymous tips to her boss about ethical concerns. Screenshots of her private conversations sent to colleagues who once trusted her. Subtle seeds planted in the right ears. I didn't need to lie. Her own words were enough to condemn her. She started getting fewer calls, fewer invitations. The sparkle in her eyes dimmed, just a little. But she still didn't suspect me. That was the beauty of it. The knife was already in. I was just twisting it slowly. She started questioning herself first. Little things, missed deadlines, forgotten meetings, subtle whispers in the office began to unsettle her. I never interfered openly. I just nudged the universe in my favor. A misplaced file here, a delayed email there. Everything looked accidental, random, but every domino I tipped was deliberate. Watching her frown, pacing late at night, muttering apologies to herself. It was intoxicating. She thought she was losing control. She had no idea who held the leash. Then came the social circle. Friends who once praised her ambition now noticed inconsistencies. I sent unsigned tips, screenshots from her own accounts. Her closest allies began to distance themselves. Invitations stopped. Messages went unanswered. She started panicking, rearranging plans, checking phones, questioning loyalty. Every step she took to regain trust only deepened her isolation. And I stayed quiet. A ghost in her life, a storm brewing silently, watching her crumble without a single argument. Money, always her weakness, became my tool. I discovered a small loan she had lied about. Quietly, I informed the lender of discrepancies in her paperwork. Nothing illegal, just technicalities she couldn't ignore. Calls began. Reminders, pressure mounting. She couldn't connect the dots. She didn't know who was orchestrating the unraveling. And the most beautiful part, her panic was self-inflicted. She was fighting shadows she couldn't see. Every step of her unraveling was crafted by me, but she believed it was her own failure. Her love for appearances turned against her. I leaked anonymous notes hinting at her duplicity to the people she admired. subtle, damning suggestions that questioned her ethics. Invitations vanished. Collaborations dissolved. Colleagues whispered when she passed. She started acting defensive, paranoid, overcompensating for mistakes she hadn't even made. Her charisma, once magnetic, became strained. Every misstep she made was amplified. I didn't need confrontation. I let the mirror of her ambition shatter from within. I watched her family relationships fray. A carefully timed email to her brother, a casual concern to her mother, all anonymous, all precise. Misunderstandings blossomed into arguments. Love and trust she took for granted began to erode. She was alone more often, pacing, questioning, blaming herself. And I wasn't there to intervene. My presence was invisible, yet omnipresent. Every tear, every anxious sigh, every sleepless night, fuel for the plan. I didn't hate her. I simply understood consequences better than she did. Her online persona, carefully curated for admiration, started collapsing. Fake accounts, subtle hints of exposure. Nothing blatant, just enough to plant seeds of doubt. Followers questioned her intentions. Friends second-guessed her loyalty. She reacted, flailing, trying to explain, defend, apologize. Every post she made revealed more truth than fiction. Every attempt to salvage her image backfired. She didn't realize the game was over before it began. I didn't need to confront her. I just let her self-sabotage, guided by my quiet hand. The whispers became roars. Workplaces, social circles, online threads, all questioning her integrity. Every connection she had, carefully nurtured, started to crumble. She was drowning in a storm she didn't know was coming. I didn't push. I merely watched, strategic and patient. Each misstep she made confirmed her downfall. Each panic-fueled decision only widened the cracks in her life. And every night when she cried alone, I felt no satisfaction, only the cold clarity of inevitability. The law of karma works best when unseen. Her personal relationships began unraveling next. Friends stopped answering calls. Promises dissolved. Invitations vanished. She became desperate, frantic. I never interfered directly, but I nudged. Anonymous reminders of her misdeeds appeared subtly, always believable. She was losing control, panicking over things she couldn't trace. The world she built on deceit and greed began eroding quietly. She blamed luck, circumstances, even herself. She didn't see me steering the storm, and that's what made it perfect. She believed it was her own undoing. She tried to reclaim her dignity online, posted stories, edited captions that explained herself. Every post backfired. Screenshots I had collected, subtle hints at hypocrisy, spread quietly. Followers, once loyal, began questioning. Supporters turned into critics. She messaged me once, panicked, asking what she had done wrong. I didn't respond. Silence was my weapon. The quiet destruction was sweeter than confrontation. She had built a life on lies and manipulation, and now, under her own hands, it collapsed like sand slipping through fingers. Her work began suffering visibly. Minor mistakes, miscommunications, deadlines missed. Colleagues whispered. Clients questioned. She couldn't understand the sudden shift. Every small failure, meticulously timed, felt like coincidence. I didn't interfere directly. I only ensured the environment was fertile for mistakes. Each error she made, each panic-fueled reaction, was a victory of patience. She became anxious, withdrawn, obsessed with repairing what she thought she had control over. But control was an illusion. I held the threads. She sought solace in friends, old allies she thought trustworthy. Anonymous hints, carefully worded, severed bonds. Invitations dwindled. Conversations felt forced. Subtle lies I planted as facts became her reality. She spiraled, doubted herself constantly. Nights became long, filled with worry, fear, sleepless hours. I stayed silent, always observing. Each night, her panic grew, but she never knew why. Every whisper, every suspicion, every regret she felt was carefully orchestrated. Her life became a maze with no exit, and I was the silent architect. Then came her financial missteps. Tips to banks, hints to creditors, tiny nudges, nothing illegal, just enough to create pressure. Missed payments, growing stress, phone calls she couldn't ignore. Panic, despair, confusion. She never suspected me. Every panic-fueled choice she made widened the cracks. Friends, work, social status, all slipping through her fingers. I stayed calm. Patience was the weapon, silence the shield. She was collapsing quietly, unaware the architect of her downfall was the one she thought she could manipulate with ease. She reached a breaking point. Calls unanswered, doors closed, trust evaporated. She started confronting herself, questioning motives, past actions. Each regret a nail in the coffin. I didn't reply to her messages. I didn't call. I didn't intervene. Watching her flounder under the weight of her own actions was enough. Karma, subtle and precise, had found her. I had merely accelerated the timeline. And as she finally sat alone, staring at her life crumbling, I smiled quietly. The storm had passed. She hadn't seen me coming. Her final attempts at reconciliation were feeble. Messages, apologies, promises to change. I read them all, silent, unmoved. No explanation, no confrontation, just quiet observation. Every word she wrote was evidence of her awareness too late. Friends and colleagues refused to engage. Her reputation, carefully built over years, evaporated. And yet, she still hoped. Hope is dangerous. Hope can blind you to reality. I didn't reply. I didn't comfort. I allowed the silence to speak louder than any argument ever could. Eventually, she vanished from social circles. Her work slowed to irrelevance. Her network fractured. I didn't need to celebrate. Victory was in the calm. I watched her life, once so flashy, so manipulative, fold quietly under its own weight. No screams, no confrontation, just consequences. I didn't gloat. I simply moved forward, stronger, wiser. She learned too late what she had traded for ambition and greed. I had become invisible, untouchable, and she finally realized some storms are silent, yet their impact is undeniable. In the end, I left her world untouched yet broken. No scene, no dramatic revelation, just the cold truth. Actions have consequences. I rebuilt quietly, stronger than before, with clarity. She reached out one last time, voice trembling, asking for closure, for forgiveness. I didn't reply. Some lessons aren't meant to be softened. Silence was my final gift and my final message. She had destroyed trust, underestimated patience, and ignored the quiet force that watches and waits. Some betrayals aren't forgiven. They are merely endured.